Tinubu, the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, security chiefs, judges, prosecutors. What if I told you people are looking at these names and asking one dangerous question? Is this all just coincidence? Or is there a deeper power structure shaping the fate of Nnamdi Kanu? Stay with me. The case of Nnamdi Kanu is not just another legal issue in Nigeria. It is one of the most emotionally charged and politically sensitive situations the country has faced in recent years. For some, it represents justice being carried out against a man accused of threatening national unity. For others, it represents something much deeper, something more troubling, something that feels like a symbol of long-standing tension and unresolved history. At the center of this conversation is the Nigerian state itself, led by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As president, Tinubu represents the highest authority in the country's democratic structure. His administration oversees the institutions responsible for law enforcement, prosecution, and national security. That alone places his name at the top of any discussion involving a high-profile case like this. But the presidency is only one part of a much larger system. The legal process surrounding Kanu involves the office of the Attorney General, a powerful position responsible for prosecuting federal cases. This office determines how cases are framed, how aggressively they are pursued, and what legal strategies are used in court. It is a key part of the machinery that drives any federal prosecution forward. Then comes the judiciary. Judges like Binta Nyako have presided over aspects of Kanu's case, making critical rulings that shape its direction. The judiciary is meant to be independent, guided only by the law and the evidence presented. But in politically sensitive cases, every decision is watched closely, analyzed, and often questioned. Beyond the courtroom, security agencies play a crucial role. The Department of State Services, commonly known as DSS, has been central in detaining and managing Kanu's custody. Their involvement highlights the government's classification of the issue as one tied to national security rather than just civil disagreement. When people begin to list these roles, the president, the attorney general, the judge, the security agencies, it starts to feel like a coordinated structure. A system where each part plays its role, where each decision connects to another, where the outcome appears to be shaped long before the final judgment is delivered. And that is where perception begins to shift. For many observers, especially those emotionally connected to the idea of Biafra, this does not look like a simple legal process. It looks like the full force of the state being directed at one individual. It looks overwhelming. It looks deliberate. But is that the reality, or is it the way the system naturally operates in high-stakes cases? Because the truth is, any government faced with a separatist movement will respond with seriousness. It will involve its top legal minds, its security agencies, and its judicial system. It will treat the situation as a matter of national importance. Still, the presence of these names, these positions, these powerful offices, creates a narrative. A narrative that suggests something more than coincidence. A narrative that raises questions that many people are not comfortable asking openly. And once those questions are asked, they begin to take on a life of their own. Narratives like this do not appear overnight. They are built slowly, shaped by history, emotion, and repeated experiences that create a sense of pattern in people's minds. In Nigeria, history plays a powerful role in how events are interpreted. The memory of the Nigerian Civil War still lingers, especially in the southeast. It is not just a historical event, it is a lived experience passed down through generations. It influences how people see power, how they interpret government actions, and how they respond to authority. So when a figure like Nnamdi Kanu rises, leading the indigenous people of Biafra, he is not just speaking in the present. He is speaking into a history that is already charged with emotion. His message resonates because it taps into something deeper than politics. Now place that against the backdrop of Nigeria's current power structure. At any given time, certain regions appear more dominant in leadership positions. This is not unique to one group or one era. It has happened repeatedly throughout Nigeria's history, with different regions holding influence at different times. But perception does not always follow historical balance. It follows what is visible in the moment. When people observe that several key figures involved in a major case come from similar regional or cultural backgrounds, it creates a sense of alignment. Whether intentional or not, It looks like a pattern. And once people believe they see a pattern, they begin to connect every related detail to it. A court ruling is no longer just a legal decision. It becomes part of the pattern. A government statement is no longer just communication. It becomes confirmation. A security action is no longer routine. It becomes evidence. This is how narratives gain strength. They are not always built on proven coordination. They are built on consistent perception. And perception, once established, is incredibly difficult to change. It is important to understand that people who believe these narratives are not necessarily trying to mislead. Many are reacting to what they see and how it makes them feel. They are trying to make sense of a system that often appears distant, complex, and unresponsive to their concerns. That does not automatically make the narrative accurate. But it does explain why it spreads. Because at its core, this is not just about names or positions. It is about trust. Or rather, the lack of it. When you step back from the noise, from the lists of names, from the emotional arguments, a clearer picture begins to emerge. This is not just about one man. It is not just about one case. It is about how power operates in a complex country like Nigeria. Power in Nigeria is not controlled by a single group. It is negotiated constantly through alliances, political strategy, and institutional structures. It shifts over time, moving between regions, adapting to elections, and responding to changing circumstances. At different points in history, different groups have felt marginalized. This is a recurring theme in Nigeria's story. It is not unique to one region or one moment. What makes the case of Nnamdi Kanu particularly intense is that it sits at the intersection of multiple sensitive issues. It touches on national unity, regional identity, political authority, and historical memory all at once. That combination makes it impossible for the case to be seen as purely legal. It will always be political. It will always be emotional. And it will always be interpreted through the lens of personal and collective experience. This is where the real challenge lies. Because as long as people feel disconnected from the system, they will question its decisions. As long as trust remains low, every action will be viewed with suspicion. And as long as history remains unresolved, the past will continue to shape the present. So the question is not just whether there is a pattern. The deeper question is why people feel compelled to look for one in the first place. And the answer to that question goes beyond any list of names. It goes to the heart of Nigeria's structure. Until that structure evolves in a way that feels fair, inclusive, and transparent to all its citizens, situations like this will continue to generate the same reactions. Different case. Same questions. Same tension. Now you've seen the names. You've heard the arguments. You've followed the questions. But the truth. It's not always in what you're told. Sometimes, it's in what you're led to believe. If you want more deep, unfiltered breakdowns like this, hit subscribe, because the real stories behind Nigeria's biggest issues are far from over.